Hey, core reporters, welcome back to my channel. Listen, Kailyn Lowry, I was gonna say disgraced former teen mom two-star, but I'm thinking of Janelle. Kailyn is not disgraced, but Kailyn Lowry has officially announced that she is pregnant with twins. Shout out to Teen Mom Chatter on Instagram. She called it from the very, very beginning. She got a lot of heat for what she was saying, but it turns out that she was right, just like she was right about the other pregnancy. And so, here, yeah, she was talking about it on the Barely Famous podcast. As usual, she was claiming that she was shocked, blindsided by this pregnancy. But at this time, the woman has been pregnant like how many times? 10 times now. Like it's insane to me that you can keep on getting pregnant, yet keep on claiming that you're getting pregnant by accident. I feel like if you are able to get pregnant by accident, like 7, 8, 9, 10 times, you unfortunately are incredibly sorry, but dumb. Like, we all know how babies are made. We all know how to take precautions. We all know, or we should know. This one's a little bit more complicated, how to track your ovulation and stuff. I use an app. Well, I used to use an app. All sorts of things, like there's so many ways to prevent pregnancy. And someone who, again, when she was on TV, there would always be this kind of like PSA against these surprise pregnancies, especially within teens. Go to itsYourSexLife.org, blah, blah. Like, they were talking about contraception all the time with her, every reunion with Dr. Drew. So you mean to tell me that with all that information and all of your pregnancies, you still keep getting pregnant by accident? At this point, you are, remember, I used to call Brianna De Jesus clinically dumb. This might be a step above that. Just at this point, just admit you have a breeding fetish. You like getting pregnant by, random men, and you like having random men's first children. Because the fact that she is about to have 3 kids within like a year and a half of dating this guy, Elijah, is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And I can totally see why his parents have gotten in a tizzy with him. They've limited contact with him. I think that they got into a fight about this situation. Kailyn didn't say why he and his father were not on speaking terms, but I pretty much can guess that it has to do with this. Like, how disappointing is it for a parent to have their child come to them and say, okay, I'm having a baby with this woman who has a baby with half the neighborhood. Then a couple months later, like a year and a bit later, he comes back. Now I'm having 2 more kids with this woman. And meanwhile, the woman has a bunch of other kids from a bunch of other men as well. And your kid has a good job. He owns his own home. He owns a car. And you wonder, why the hell would you do this to yourself? Why would you tank your life like this? Like, I could totally see why his parents are on the outs with him amidst all this sort of news. So now that it's confirmed by Kailyn, we can go back to these images that we were sharing a couple of months ago when they were released by The Sun. So these are the images that The Sun took of her walking out of her podcast studio, and she's very obviously pregnant. I know a lot of her fans were in deep denial, but come on now, be for real. Now that she has admitted it, you too can admit that this is obviously a baby bump, okay? It's crazy how hard people went denying things for her. They're like, when I eat a burrito, I look like that too. Are you sure, girl? Are you sure? I bloat. Y'all know I have a little pot belly, but I do not bloat like that. And I'm sure you do not either. Anyway, listen, I already said this when these photos came out, that at this point, this is hardcore mental illness. And, I can't joke about it. I can't anything about it because it just makes me sad for her and the other kids that she already has, in addition to these new kids on the way. The whole thing, I'm sorry, like it kind of makes my skin almost crawl. Like, it's just so creepy and weird the way that she is just happily popping out all these, random kids with random men. Like, it's nothing. It's just so wild to me. She barely knew Elijah when they got pregnant with the first one. I think it was within what, like 2 months of dating. And then you pop out that kid, you hide him. And then a couple months later, you fall pregnant with twins. Like, well, I'm sorry, but this is weird. It's really, truly, truly weird. I do also wonder why she's coming out ahead of the twin pregnancy. I guess maybe because of how hard it was to hide the Rio one, and then Rio being a baby, and like her apologizing to her fans on her podcast about, lying about not having this baby and whatnot. Maybe she wants to start fresh with them and be more honest moving forward. And that's why she is opening up and admitting to being pregnant with twins. So far, We don't know if these twins are boys or girls or what have you. We don't know if they are identical or fraternal. We don't know a damn thing. Maybe that's something that she's going to be keeping, private until they arrive or something like that. But I know a lot of people have been saying, oh my God, imagine these twins are both boys. So imagine at this point having 7 boys. I am sorry, boy moms, but that is my personal idea of hell. Having a bunch of sons, 7 to be exact. That's just too many for me. Even if it was a mix of girls and boys, 7 kids is just too much for me, honestly. Like just the idea of it. God bless this woman. The fact that her hair has not yet fallen out and she still keeps chugging along with this is truly remarkable. So now we see a little bit more about that bracelet she wore. Do you guys remember? She went on Instagram stories wearing this bracelet. It said mom of 7, and it's right there on her arm behind that yellow bottle. And so a bunch of her supporters, again, they were in deep denial. They said that could be one of her kids' jersey numbers. Nope. We went looking. None of her kids wear the jersey number 7. Then, they said it could have a bunch of other meanings, but nope. It turns out that she really was letting y'all know that she is about to be a mom of 7. I do worry for Kale, to be honest with you, because like I said at the top of this episode, her relationship with Elijah is brand spanking new. They've been together literally like a year and a half or something like that. Has it even been 2 years? I haven't heard her announce that it's been 2 years, but I do remember her announcing their 1 year. Okay. So it's been only like a year and a half, and you guys have 3 kids, and she already had 4 kids. So 7, that's so overwhelming. I would like to know the psychology of a man, especially a young man with his own money, with his own house, with his own job, and he's decent looking, right? And he's in good shape. I want to know what would drive him to get into a relationship like this. Like, it just seems like you have to be some level of insane to get into this kind of relationship, and then to quickly pop out all these babies with this woman as well. Like, I am beside myself. I also do wonder what Joe and V really think about this. I know Joe, Kale has mentioned it on her own podcast, but Joe, he seems scared for his son Isaac. Like, he had to pull Elijah to the side at some kind of like a barbecue or whatever kind of event that they had with a bunch of people. And he had to ask Elijah, please, are you going to be the one that stays? Kale has had so many boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, Isaac, like, he's still super traumatized from losing his stepdad, Javi. And then, of course, having the revolving door of men and, women and whatnot. And now here you are. And Kale didn't reveal this at the time, but I think that, Joe had already known that Kale was pregnant. He's like, please, is this baby daddy going to stay? Like, have some stability for the sake of my child. And so I just, I feel like that is what is, driving him bald. It's the stress of this woman's breeding decisions, because it truly is insane. My chest is tightening just trying to make sense of why someone would do this to their life. I really cannot understand it, you guys. I am shooketh. I truly am shooketh. We all knew our girl was pregnant. We all knew it, but just now having her confirm it. And then not only that, but to claim that it wasn't planned again. She said the same thing about Rio. Girl, you know how babies are made. You know how babies are prevented. You are planning these kids. And I feel like you should be using your time in therapy to understand why, because this is weird. Again, if you're in like a relationship with somebody and you're having a bunch of kids, whatever. But when you are popping out kids with men that you don't even really know, with Elijah, it was like 2 months and she had the first, and now it's a year and a half and you're already on your 3rd kid with this guy, 3 kids with this guy. It's really crazy. It truly is. And then when it came to Chris Lopez, what happened? She had at first, she was like, oh, the doctor told me I was going infertile. I will never have babies. I have to go quickly and make a baby now because it's going to be too late. This is going to be my last kid. That was her excuse, remember? So she went to she went to Wawa, got a sandwich, got a coffee, loaded that tank up with gas, and then took Chris to a strip mall parking lot, laid down the back seats, said, all right, let's make this baby. That's what she really That's what she wanted us to believe. Okay. So that was a plan, but we all know it wasn't a planned pregnancy, but that was her trying to tell us he was a planned pregnancy. Lux. And then when it came to Creed, she was like, we were popping it on the kitchen counter. And mind you, when she was with Chris, it turns out that she knew that from the very beginning, he had other girlfriends and that she was just a part of a harem. And so I feel like she got pregnant by Chris just to try to lock him in and rise up the ranks of the harem. But unfortunately, it didn't work because the original member of the harem later wound up having a kid with him. And now they're still together and raising that child together. And that woman is the one who braids Alexis' hair for Kale because Kale can't cornrow. And I can't laugh at her for that because I can't either. And it's even worse because I'm Black. Black girls who don't know how to cornrow, a moment of silence for us in solidarity. Honestly, this girl, she is freaking off the chain. Off the freaking chain. You know, I'm laughing right now trying to imagine my parents' reaction to me if I were living my life this way. Honestly, I feel like my parents would, oh my God, my parents would, God, I don't even know. I can't even tell you how they would react. I think they'd beat my ass. I'm not even joking. I think they'd beat my ass. If I was running around popping out kids with half the neighborhood, oh Lord have mercy. Yeah, girl. Child, let me get off. I said I can't even joke about this because this is truly someone who is very far gone. So I can't talk about it anymore. But there's your announcement, Cal. A couple more allegedly accidental pregnancies, even though you've had more than enough to know how pregnancies work. There you go. You know, I want to sign off like Bob Barker. Is that too shady? And remember, folks, have your Kale spayed or neutered. Oh, that's rude. Shouldn't have said that. I'm out of here, guys. Bye.